Today we're looking at Sitting Bull. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. Sitting Bull was a Native American leader that spent his life attempting to maintain the Native American way of life as more and more Americans came into the Western territories of North America. Sitting Bull was born in 1831, part of the Hunkpapa Lakota, which was included in the Sioux Nation in what today would be northwestern South Dakota on the Grand River. His father was a respected Sioux warrior named Returns Again. His father named him Jumping Badger at birth, and by the age of 10 he had killed his first buffalo in a buffalo hunt. A few years later he joined his father in a raid of a neighboring Crow tribe camp. In the fighting, he showed great bravery, and his father renamed him Tatonka Yotonka, which meant Sitting Bull. In the following years, he became a leader among the Sioux, helping to expand their hunting grounds and protecting their lands from rival tribes in the region. By the 1860s, as the American Civil War was occurring, Sitting Bull began to have his first conflicts with the American government. In 1862, 300 Sioux were arrested in Minnesota after attacking American settlers when food was not distributed by the federal government on the reservation. 39 of the 300 arrested were put to death, and despite the Civil War taking place at the same time, in 1863 and 1864, American troops began to attack other Sioux encampments. Sitting Bull would lead several of the defenses of Native American lands and camps. On July 28th of 1864, he led Native Americans at the Battle of Killdeer Mountain. In the battle, the Sioux were forced to retreat, and Sitting Bull resolved that he would never sign any treaty that forced his people onto reservations. By 1868, Sitting Bull became the chief of the entire Lakota Nation. That same year, in July, several other Native American leaders, but not Sitting Bull, signed the Treaty of Fort Laramie with General William Tecumseh Sherman. The treaty promised that the Lakota would maintain control of the Black Hills in South Dakota, and it would establish the Great Sioux Reservation. But just a few years later, in 1874, gold was discovered in the Black Hills, and American prospectors began to rush into the region. Now that gold had been found, the federal government ignored the treaty and began to forcibly remove Native Americans from the region. The government issued an order that all Native Americans must move west by the end of January 1876, or they would be considered enemies of the U.S. government. Sitting Bull refused and united several tribes in resistance. On June 17th of 1876, he led Native American forces to victory at the Battle of the Rosebud in what today would be south central Montana. Then, barely a week later, on June 25th of 1876, Sitting Bull, along with other leaders such as Crazy Horse, overwhelmed American forces at the Battle of Little Bighorn, in which American forces under General George Armstrong Custer were completely destroyed. The U.S. government was outraged by what had happened at the Battle of Little Bighorn and doubled their forces and efforts to push Sitting Bull and Native Americans west. By May of 1777, Sitting Bull was forced to retreat into Canada, where he would remain for the next 4 years. But by 1881, he was forced to surrender to American forces in return for amnesty, or basically forgiveness for his people. Sitting Bull was a prisoner of war for the next 2 years at Fort Randall in South Dakota, but then moved to the Standing Rock Reservation, which was on the border between North and South Dakota. In 1884, he saw famed sharpshooter Annie Oakley perform, and the two became friends. He then joined Oakley in 1885 as part of Wild Bill Cody's Wild West show. Sitting Bull would sign autographs and would ride out during the show, but he was met with primarily boos and insults from the audiences. He left the show and returned to the Standing Rock Reservation. Shortly after, the Ghost Dance movement began, in which many Native Americans performed the ceremony that sought to eliminate white settlers from the West and restore Native American culture. Sitting Bull became a supporter of the movement, and fearing Sitting Bull's influence, authorities wanted to arrest Sitting Bull. On December 15th of 1890, police entered Sitting Bull's cabin to arrest him, and gunfire broke out. Sitting Bull was killed in the ensuing gunfight. To this day, Sitting Bull is remembered as one of the great leaders of Native American people, and his life is a reminder of the struggle that Native Americans have faced throughout our nation's history. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.